in the temporal justice system. The Star Trek Wars podcast is represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the investigators who prosecute time crime, and the instigators that cause it. These are their stories.
Morning, Chloe. Morning. Good morning, Chloe.
Cowardly lion.
Mondays, am I right? Feels like I've been here 30 minutes already. This day's dragging. How goes the search?
Surprisingly well. It's fixing on Jordan's next location fast. Should just take a moment.
Great job, Chloe. Well, now we just wait.
Hey, Zach, what do you think happens when we die?
Oh, good icebreaker, Chloe, but you know, you don't want my opinion on that, I promise.
Come on.
Okay, well, you're not going to like it.
I'll take that risk.
See, I don't think we'll actually die because I don't think we ever truly existed to begin with.
Go on.
I think, and hear me out, I think we're just made up characters Jeremy came up with in his head one day after asking Jordan what he'd like to do this year for the 10th anniversary of the podcast, and Jordan told him he'd like to talk about episodes he never had the chance to cover before. Then this prompted Jeremy to come up with a silly yet flimsy premise that makes less sense the more you think about it, and using that idea as a structure to build each episode around. So, Chloe, while on his lunch break at his real job, he quickly did some freeform writing for 10 CSI spoof cold opens as a fun creative exercise, and then asked you and me, who are actually librarians in the real world with our own podcast named The Book Return, if we'd like to guest on some dumb but fun sketches this year.
Okay.
So you see, there's no heaven for us, Chloe, because we didn't exist until a couple of months ago. And as sure as we came from nothing, so shall we vanish back into that eternal quiet ether for the moment our final cold open ends this season in episode 10.
You're right, Zach. I'm not going to like it. We found him.
What do you got, Chloe?
There. It didn't take long to track Jordan because he barely moved forward in time this go-around. September 8th, 2014 to be exact.
That's Star Trek Wars episode 20. Based off these findings, Jordan traveled just one podcast ahead from our last episode.
Our last episode?
His last episode. His. This is all real. Please don't write me off. And you got any more details there, Chloe?
Yeah, it's episode 20, all right. And right at the beginning of it, too. First segment, boss.
The original series again. Well, he certainly has developed a taste for the old times.
And a taste of Armageddon. That's the episode he's there to talk about.
Well, enjoy a taste of Armageddon, Jordan. It just may be your last bite. Good afternoon, everyone. Jordan, stand up. Okay, now you can sit down.
Okay, well.
And put your hat straight forward, sir.
No, I'm sorry.
Take this seriously.
It's the cool kids are doing.
That's why I asked you not to. All right, welcome to this week's trial, Jordan. September 8th, 2014. What does that mean to you, sir?
Guardians of the Galaxy was out.
You're right.
Number one movie in America.
You have a great memory.
I do.
I guess that's what happens when you're just time traveling a week apart from each other.
Nothing gets past me.
All right, computer, pull up events from September 8th, 2014.
Okay, here we go.
Computer's developed a Dak Prescott-like cadence for some reason. Computer, what was the day's big event of September 8th, like we don't all remember, of 2014?
Actress Ashley Tisdale with singer Christopher French at a private ceremony in Santa Barbara, California. Christopher French, as we all know, looks like a hybrid of Jordan and Chris Isaac if he were a Bond villain.
All right, thank you, computer. Now, Jordan, when do you suppose the marriage of Ashley Tisdale and Christopher French ended?
2016.
Trick question. They're still together. You got a heart of stone, man. Love is real.
All right, well, I don't even know who those people are, to be honest.
One of them may be a Disney person and or singer.
Okay, sounds familiar. And then Christopher French. Is he related to French Stewart?
I don't think that's how names work. But oh man,
It could be Bajorn. That could be, I don't know.
That's true. I wish Ashley Tisdale was married to French Stewart. All right, I'm looking at the top 10 in the box office this week. You're pretty correct. I don't see anything new. Looks like the top 10 we mentioned is all the same. Oh, we got a new number 5, I think. As above, so below. I don't think we said that last week.
Nope, I never heard of it.
Sounds like some kind of spooky. And then, Michael Bay's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has dropped to 4th place instead of, I think it was like 2nd or something. But The November Man is 3rd place. I think that's Pierce Brosnan.
Okay.
I feel like maybe they dropped the ball by releasing it in September. But, I'm not going to tell them how to market.
The November Man.
Number 2, Let's Be Cops, and then number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy. Last time Guardians of the Galaxy, the only movie in that top 10 that I had seen. How many of those new movies do you think I have seen?
1. Still.
Yeah, it's still Guardians of the Galaxy. That is it. Now, before I submit the audio from your illegal time incursion this week as evidence for your upcoming time trial, I just want to know one thing, Jordan. Instead of not seeing as above, so below, why did you go back to talk about this week's episode, A Taste of Armageddon?
Well, you kind of answered your own question. There's really nothing going on in the box office or musically at this point in time. I just think this is a very underrated episode of the original series. I don't think it's talked about enough or gets the kind of love that Space Seed or, Trouble with Tribbles gets. I love just the concept of this episode. And this is mainly a Kirk episode, but we get to see a lot of the crew in action, including pretty strong Scotty performance in command in this episode. He does a very good job. Some Spock stuff here. And then Bones is very good as well. So just overall, this kind of has all the ingredients of a good original series episode. Very, Kirk-centric, but the rest of the crew is involved. The main players have something to do. And then, just a really cool idea that still kind of tracks today and just something with a deeper thought behind it that you can kind of think about how a culture could get to this point. It seems, and I think one of my pros was like the plot is equal parts ridiculous and brilliant, because it is ridiculous. But over the course of hundreds of years, you could see a culture thinking that they're so refined and so above it all that this is so much better than waging an actual war. In reality, it's kind of insane. And I don't think I realized even the last time I watched this just how nuts the main kind of villain, I guess, is in this episode. And they drop some hints about a previous expedition they'll talk about as well that I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is kind of dark, this episode for 1960s. And it's done in kind of a lighthearted way to an extent. But yeah, there's some dark stuff in this episode. So just a really good one. Like I said, that gets overlooked. I didn't get to review this, obviously, the first time around. So this is one that just stood out when I saw it on the list.
Yeah, you make a good point, too. It's kind of silly when you look at how they do war, but then you look at it from any other viewpoint, just war itself is ridiculous.
What's it good for?
Yeah, absolutely nothing, brother. And yeah, people are dying senselessly on this planet, like randomly. And also you're losing monuments, you're blowing stuff up. Like, at least they're chosen and they're not losing any of the things that they've built. Like, it's dumb, but it's all dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this isn't the segment I should be agreeing with you. You're on trial
That's
here,
right.
not me. Now, we will listen to the audio proof of your time crimes, but first, we're going to take a short break to hear a brief message from today's fake sponsor. Frank Quasar here, the strong armist. You know, there's been a lot of jibber-jabber about me from my opponents. Mainly claims that I'm not really a Vulcan and that I grew my hair out to cover my ears. That's simply just not true. I grew my hair out because it's badass. Sorry your Romulan pride prevents you from growing a sweet-ass mullet, Lovok.
Hey!
But no, stick to that bowl cut, brother. It'll certainly help you stand out from the rest of Romulan society. Yes, I do in fact have Vulcan ears. See? Yeah, okay, it looks like spirit gum holding them to my skin, and sure the blending isn't great, but believe me, that's just a birthmark, and I'm sorry I thought we were past commenting on people's appearances. Bet you feel bad now. I assure you, I am a full green-blooded Vulcan. Did you know Lovok and Lovok are ex-Tal Shiar operatives? They don't like talking about that, do they? Family values my ass. Anyways, has a changeling ever impersonated you, made sandwiches for your friends that they actually prefer over your own sandwiches, then tried blowing up a solar system? Hail me today!
Frank Quasar! Yeah! Frank's a Vulcan from the streets that cannot tell a lie. He's a Klingon in the sheets, all hotties may apply. And he's the man you want when you got no alibi. So hail him today at 1-800, let's fly!
All right, welcome back. What you're about to hear is the audio proof of Jordan altering a past podcast. We'll listen to the part that he changed, and we'll see how much damage you caused, Jordan, to the timeline. Computer, recall audio from Star Trek Wars Episode 20, Turd Bully. I guess we're probably talking about Skin of Evil also that week, I'm assuming. Start date, September 8th, 2014, starting at the 13-minute 20-second mark. Play on my command.
Yeah, working. Audio recovered.
All right. Computer, play that audio.
So these people on the planet tell Kirk he's got to beam all of his people off the ship down to the planet so that they can disintegrate because that's part of the rules. And Kirk doesn't agree with that. So him and Spock put it into this war in 30 minutes by fighting everybody.
I know, that was the best. I loved seeing them
So
rock
they
it.
captured Kirk and a few of his crewmates, and when they lured a guard into there, and the guard called 3 other guys, and Kirk took out all 4 of them single-handedly by ramming them with his body.
He always uses himself as like a bowling ball. I don't even know how.
Oh, okay. Oh, that is always startling. All right. Oh, thanks for just up and leaving silently, gang, without an explanation. Yeah, Uncle Jordan and I need private Trek talk. I'll call you back in soon to wrap things up. Man, you said you'd be back, Jordan. I didn't know you'd be back the next episode.
Yeah, how long has it been? It feels like forever.
A couple weeks. This is great. First segment of the next podcast. Here we are talking about A Taste of Armageddon. What a great episode. How does Armageddon taste, Jordan?
Well, pretty good. I'd say there's so many TOS episodes that start with visits to these ominous planets. You know, you just kind of start off and there's kind of this mystery of they're going to this planet and they haven't answered their hails. They're not sure why. And then they kind of drop this line. I kind of alluded to this like dark thing that they mentioned. The USS Valiant showed up 50 years prior. And it's kind of like a throwaway line that I hadn't really focused on before, but they were never heard from again. So basically this USS vessel went out there with their crew, and I think we know what happened to them. Like, they got freaking eradicated.
Yeah.
And that's pretty dark. Like, these people murdered a bunch of, I don't know if they were Federation officers at that point in time, but yeah, Starfleet. It's kind of crazy to think about that.
Valiant. Note to self: if you're in Starfleet, never accept
a posting on the USS Valiant. Yeah,
at any timeline. It is not good for your crew.
No, never ends well. It's hard to believe that someone could conceive, to me, of like this complete computer-based warfare nearly 60 years ago. It's like computers. You saw the computers in this episode. Like they could barely calculate the scores of our episodes. Like, no one thought you'd have a calculator in your pocket, and they've got this machine room that's literally, and it's one computer, they say, the main one, that's basically identifying targets and choosing who lives and dies down, the section, and up to, I think, 500,000, whatever, one attack. They say about 3 million a year over the course of 500 years. It's insane. So, Scotty getting to show off his command chops, I thought was very good. I like Kirk playing the barbarian character to a T here. He bluffs the, oh my gosh,
emissary,
Emanirian. What the heck were they called? Emaniria 7. Emanirian. It just doesn't look how it's spelled. Leader with the General Order 24, saying he's going to blow them all up, which we know that he's not. This wouldn't be the first time. They kind of a Corbinite-esque maneuver here by Kirk. I also love the scene where Spock enters the council chambers to help Kirk, but Kirk has everything well in hand, and he's dual wielding blasters. I always think of the meme with, oh gosh, what's his name from It's Always Sunny?
Yeah, Danny DeVito.
I started blasting. That's like this meme in a nutshell. Just this story about a culture that has been playing at war but has forgotten the true horrors of war. I think that whole line of dialogue, and it just encompasses episode so perfectly, because we kind of talk about this in the intro of this culture that's been doing war this way for 500 years are so numb to the fact that the people that they love, they're just basically enamored by playing by the rules, and so uppity in thinking that they're doing this noble thing by not destroying each other's worlds. They've kind of forgotten the sacrifice of war and how ugly war is, aside from just the loss of life, but of culture, of society, of, buildings, and, all of that. So I think this episode is very deep in that regard. And I've just always liked this story. And then, the end of this episode too, just another really good Kirk speech where he's talking about, instinctually we are killers, but we're not going to kill today. Like that whole speech. And then Mr. Fox is there, who I haven't talked about yet, kind of saying, hey, I'd love to help specialize in this. And, a little bit rushed at the end, kind of a Voyager wrap up, in my opinion, of these people are at each other's throats basically for 500 years. Well, actually far away from each other's throats for 500 years, but, killing by the millions per year. And then he's like, hey, let's go call him on the radio. It's right down here. I haven't turned it on in 200 years. But so, a little quick wrap up at the end. But aside from that, I think this is a very underrated episode. It just gives me everything kind of in a Star Trek episode that I want, which is, Kirk doing his thing. They blow up a computer at the end. There's kind of this mystery at the beginning. You have a stupid authority figure who's trying to tell the crew what to do. That's wrong. I can get behind that. It's like a day at work for me. Root Zone wise, I would think that if this planet hasn't had any physical violence in nearly 500 years, they probably wouldn't be good fighters. And Cook should have been able to handle the two guards very easily.
Fair.
Early on. So, I think that's something I didn't pick up on last time I watched it either. Con wise, you've heard of turtleneck sweaters, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of the Kirstie Alley neck sweater that Mr. Fox is wearing? A joke. It'll kill in 10 years.
Oh, you're making Kirstie Alley jokes?
No,
that's great,
first
man.
one ever.
That one's gonna stick with me.
A lot of firsts. The security guard outfits. Speaking of ridiculous wardrobes, those just for some reason remind me of the Voyager episode "The Thaw." Like it looks like something like the clown's wardrobe from The Thaw or something. I think if the pants were the same color and the top was just like two-tone, that's fine. But the fact that it wraps down to one leg being one color and it just and those hats, I don't know what those are. It looks like they melted a garbage bag on top of their head. I don't know. It's bad. It's the 1960s, and you only got so much budget, and you got to make it look like an alien planet. So I get it, but little ludicrous. Mr. Fox's ineptitude and gullible nature make him the perfect diplomat. It's just alarming to watch, especially the first half of this episode, or the first 70% of this episode. It's also crazy to think that this guy just walked his wife to a disintegration chamber mere days or weeks before the events of this episode, and is just so cold and callous. And that's what I kind of mentioned in the intro of this guy being a sociopath. Like he's about to send his daughter to die. His wife has already died. He's been doing this for presumably decades at this point, seeing millions of people die. And yeah, of course, as soon as Enterprise shows up, they get hit. And he's like, yeah, sorry, you got 24 hours to go kill yourself, basically. And the other thing that's just super puzzling to me is there's no Overwatch. There's no one from the other planet, Vendikar, here making sure that they're doing this. Like they're just so used to this process that they're walking their own people to their deaths. It's absolutely wild. And like I said, it's psychotic.
Everybody's just working from home.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's checking on them.
Exactly. It's kind of crazy. Like I said, it's ludicrous and it is ridiculous, but brilliant at the same time. I think just the concept of this episode and just how you could see a culture potentially even going this route with all the, what we've done with warfare to the extent that it is with bombs and drone strikes and things of that nature. Like there is a lot less kind of humanizing elements to it. So obviously there's still casualties and we haven't gotten to the disintegration chambers yet, but it is kind of terrifying to think about. But overall, just really like this episode. I think Kirk gives a great performance this episode. Scotty's great. Spock does some cool stuff. He does like the mind probe through the wall, which we'll see in a couple episodes. And he even has that line where he's like, there is a 8-legged or multi-legged creature on your shoulder or whatever. It's just, and then nerve pinches him. It's pretty funny. I think even the effects on the blasters are interesting. Like it just fires. There's no laser. It just like shoots and then stuff blows up. So obviously probably saving a bunch of money that way, but just kind of unique and just a completely different alien design for those weapons as well. But that's pretty much all I had for this one. Like I said, my main cons are really just Mr. Fox, and like he is just so bad. They're like, yeah, they faked the captain's voice and we proved it. And he's like, you'll lower these shields immediately. Like 50 years ago, a ship showed up here and disappeared. Like, okay, dude, these are all warning signs. And then Kirstie Alley,
she might be the only human alive that actually knows what a taste of Armageddon is.
Jeez.
We can make fun of her because I'm sure she's probably still healthy and alive in your time. So,
no comment.
You got anything else for a taste of Armageddon?
I have my rating here in my pocket. Let me pull it out real quick.
Okay.
I give this one a 9.5.
What?
Calculated risks.
I don't even know how to. It's 2014. I don't know how to do decimals on our software.
Can I give it to you in a fraction?
That'd be great.
9
What's
and
a fraction of 0.5? They don't teach that in school anymore.
5/10, I believe. That's right.
That I can enter into my modem. That's the size of a bookshelf. You know, I this is unbelievable, but I'm actually I was going to give this a 7, which I'm still time chronologically obligated to do. Why did I give this a 7? I love this episode.
Yeah.
I would rewatching it. This is closer to a 10 for me, but I would say I would definitely give it no less than a 9.
Yeah.
It's baffling. I don't even know why. Because even before you arrived, like nothing but glowing remarks about this episode from everybody. Pretty sure I'm probably going to give it the lowest score of all of us. And that's,
wow.
I don't understand why I did that.
This is one of those weird episodes where, like, I think it's a slightly stronger episode than Space Seed. If you take out, like I said, the fact that we just kind of look at Space Seed differently because of The Wrath of Khan, because it has that film that kind of expands that character and gives us so much more richness to it. This is just a one-off episode, but it's great sci-fi, and I just think it is a little bit stronger episode than that. I think we just romanticize The Wrath of Khan and Space Seed a little bit more, but no, I absolutely love this episode, but it's also one of those episodes that's a little tougher to talk about. But I think that's what makes it good is like I could think about this episode a lot more than I can think about Space Seed. It's just not nearly as deep as this episode, in my opinion, as far as kind of what it invokes and what it means. And it's just the depth of war. I think we kind of see you wouldn't know anything about this, but the episode in Strange New Worlds where they're basically like on the front lines and you're seeing just the brutality of war, like, or an episode of MASH, same thing, where you're just seeing like the brutal effects of war. There's like the opposite of that, like all that's gone and we just use computers now. So, and seeing my kids come home with their homework on tablets every day, it's just weird. It's like, it's easier to see us with AI and with computers and how everything's going, like seeing a culture actually potentially get to a point where most of war is being waged on computers, and it kind of takes out a lot of that human element.
Yeah, that's kind of scary to look forward to, but as long as Kirstie Alley's safe, I'm good.
National treasure.
All right. Jordan, do you have anything else? Should we get to our next time on?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I have a next time on in a deleted scene of the episode Flashback, the Voyager episode paying homage to the 30th anniversary of the original series. You see that while on the Excelsior, Tuvok also tried to mind meld someone through the other side of a wall. Unfortunately, the procedure completely backfired and didn't work, and Tuvok just ended up absorbing the personality of the wall.
Oh, what is that episode called? Two Wall? Or Walvix?
I can throw down on some Walvix.
Oh, man.
What do you got?
I can't think of too many occurrences where Spock does like the through the wall mind probe. I know the one where is it the one where they turn him into salt cubes, basically? He does like a mind probe on the alien in that one. Rose by any other name, I think, is that one. But yeah, next time on, I have, with the Armenian computers now destroyed, Mr. Fox, good old Mr. Fox, introduces them to a harmless new game, Battleship, which the Armenian Navy uses to wage war with Vendikar to this very day, Jeremy.
Oh my God.
Also, I noticed you didn't mention that movie, probably because it wasn't in the top 10, but great film. great.
Oh, sure.
Film.
Oh, man. Yeah. That is one I watch every year.
Okay, well, it looks like I have...
right next to Michael Bay's Candyland. Oh, you are? Oh, you're starting to... Oh, someone may have sunk your battleship, Jordan. You're starting to glow pretty badly.
Yeah, that might have been the radioactive candy I ate, but...
Okay. Well, you don't give too much of that to Kirstie Alley.
Oh, no, she's off the sweets. Don't worry. I guarantee you that.
Great. Oh, that's foreboding. All right. Until next time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm done with my time crimes. There won't be a next time, Jeremy. Don't worry. You can trust me. I won't be back. Happens every time I leave. It's my alarm. I gotta get out of here. See you next time.
He's time crimes, but he's nothing if he's not punctual. All right, guys. You go ahead and come back in. Let's rate this sucker.
All right, Connor, what do you give it?
This one, an 8. An 8. Needs to be more scantily clad females on this show.
There was one.
She wasn't scantily clad,
She was wearing a bikini top with a scarf around her chest.
You
like
can't
a
get more
beauty pageant
scantily.
queen.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can.
End of transmission.
Okay, so how much damage did your temporal interference cause our prime timeline? This week, Jordan, we'll find out right after a quick word from today's fake sponsor. Look up, look down, look out. Here comes the biggest Bond podcast of all, Bonding Together. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else fine hero podcasts are heard. Filled with action, danger, Sheriff J.W. Pepper.
Sheriff J.W. Pepper.
Brand new episodes dropping sometimes. Yes, nobody does it better than Bonding Together. Listen now, and you'll be at an all-time high. The name's Together, Bonding Together. Did I mention Bond is back? Because he is, in podcast form. The Bonding Together podcast. Like and subscribe. Welcome back. Jordan, before your interference on A Taste of Armageddon, it had a score of a 7 from me, an 8 from Connor, and an 8 from Gina, given an average score of a 7.66, placing it at 155th on the all-time list of 716 episodes. But we both heard past Jeremy. He regretted having to stick with that 7. And since his episode has already been interfered with, what the hell? I'm going to grant his unrated score as well and bump his past Jeremy score up to a 9 as well. So with that, plus your 9.5, which our computers, of course, now can compute, and the council's 8.25, the final average score has been brought up from a 7.66 to an 8.55, sending it up 92 spots to the 63rd place. It now stands alone as Star Trek Wars' only 8.65 score, placing it firmly one spot underneath Face of the Enemy and one spot above Scorpion Part 1. Jordan, this is your greatest time crime so far. 92 spots is the most you've been able to manipulate an episode. But seeing as how I also just altered my previous score, that kind of helped with that. We'll rule this. Hey,
have a seat right next to me, buddy.
Okay, come on. It's just a light.
It's looking like this time crime finale might look like the finale of Seinfeld. We're both going to prison.
It's a little better. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll say this is a scratch since I did some light time crime in myself. And if this was your final temporal incursion, like you told me it was 10 years ago, we'd be done here. Except not only were you not done in time of crime, you weren't even done with the original series, as you showed up just another one episode later to talk about another original series episode, The Devil in the Dark. And until then, Star Trek Wars, you're adjourned.
I'm going streaking.
Star Trek Wars is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else fine podcasts are heard. Join the Star Trek Wars Council on Facebook by searching for Star Trek Wars. Write or leave a voice message at StarTrekWarsPod@gmail.com. And find us on the Cesspool app, formerly known as Twitter, at the Star Trek Wars.
You mess with the past, well that's a crime. And you screw with history, you'll do the time. they'll be coming for you. Temporal investigations with Jeremy and his misfit crew. Temporal investigations, stopping baddies and helping the timeline men. The past is a present, but you ain't got no future friend. Time's up.
Temporal investigations will continue with the original series, The Devil in the Dark.
Scotty getting to show off his command chops, I thought was very good because Scotty.
Jordan, are you on your pros?
Yeah.
We haven't even gone back to the flashback yet.
Well, you know what? I know how good you are at editing because I'm from the future. So, oh crap.
Perfect.
Thanks for listening to Star Trek Wars.